Hello, I'm J Presley, and welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
John J Presley is an electric bluesman based in Brighton. His new single, True Love Waits, is a dark, brooding, atmospheric masterpiece that blew us all away upon its release in July of 2018. John talks about his forthcoming album, the influence of his young daughter on his songwriting, and he performs an incredible version of Death Letter by Sunhouse. And while you're watching, subscribe to the channel for regular episodes of The Blues Kitchen Presents. John.
Hi.
Welcome to The Blues Kitchen.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, thank you. So, a few weeks ago, we played True Love Waits on the Blues Kitchen podcast, and we were big fans. I actually had quite a few people getting in touch as well, saying, tell us more about this guy, and as luck would have it, here you are.
Here I be.
So, you've had a couple of EPs and singles.
Yeah.
What can we expect from the new album? Is True Love Waits a good kind of entry point?
It is, that's why I chose it as the first single. It's a bit more developed than the last few releases. The last few releases have kind of just been, get in the studio, bash it out and get out. And this one I've really taken my time with and developed it.
Was this something that you've had a set of songs? I mean, because first albums for people are sometimes like their whole life's work and they pick out the best.
This is pretty much a whole life's work, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've recorded so much in the last 10 years or so, but this is probably the only one I'm well and truly happy with. Well,
really?
Well, ask me that again in 6 months maybe. But, I spent a long time with a producer this time as well. So
in a short while, you're going to be doing a version of Death Letter by Sunhouse, and there's an undeniable kind of undercurrent of blues on True Love Waits. Is that something that's woven throughout the rest of the record?
Yeah, it's kind of ingrained in the way I play. I can't even get away with it. I think I've tried, but I can't. I grew up playing guitar and playing that kind of music, so I think it just stays with you, whether you like it or not. And Sunhouse always rang quite true. And the first time I heard it, I was like, something hit me, and I was just taken aback. And I was really into bands and kind of post-rock and things like that, and Mogwai,
right,
Aerogram. Then I heard Sunhouse, which is like a total polar opposite. So
quite a departure.
Yeah, and it just hit a spot.
I mean, let's maybe come back to Sunhouse in a moment and delve a little bit more into your record. But you said you were working with a producer.
Yeah.
So it was the kind of thing where it's like, you know what, I've got this rough idea, hand over the reins to the producer, or was it a collaborative thing?
Some songs were like, I've got this little sketch, and the guy helped me paint a picture. But other things were pretty locked in, pretty solid, pretty rehearsed.
Yeah.
Well, as much as possible, I tried to capture it in the first few takes, I think.
Well, the single was recorded first take, right?
That's recorded as it was wrote.
Right.
I didn't really intend it that way. I just set up like a makeshift thing in what was to be my daughter's bedroom, and
got in there first.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd even set the cut up, but and I just set up a really makeshift thing, and it just came out.
So you just mentioned your daughter.
Yeah.
You got a young daughter.
Yeah, she's 2.
Has that changed your songwriting?
Yeah,
Such a
seismic
shift in your life.
Huge shift from dark and brooding influences to you just met with this beautiful innocence, and it's hard to go from that headspace to the dark headspace. And I think I'd try and create things that are a bit more beautiful. I think I try.
Surely nothing can have an impact on your life as much as having a kid,
it's
right?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. I love it. I love being a dad, parent. Yeah.
So over the last year or two, maybe longer, I'm not entirely sure, you've played with Duke Garwood on guitar duties and Ed Harcourt as well.
Yeah.
Did you assemble those guys to come and play on your record, Return the Favour, or was it a different cast of people?
I was playing with Duke and playing with Ed, and then I booked a studio, and I took Paul May with me to play drums. Duke's long-time drummer, and so he's on a few tracks and a few percussion things, and he's just great to have around as well. So, but yeah, those guys definitely had an influence on me in the way I approach things.
And spending time on the road with them, is there anything you learnt to do or what not to do with your own recordings?
Oh, that's the cliche. Less
Less
is
is
more. But it is, and less effects, less time spent on things, less thought. I think just let it flow.
Well, you
just
kind
let
of
it be
start with
natural.
getting your first takes down.
Yeah.
So with that, when you were saying about True Love Waits, it's kind of almost happened almost as it was written, getting it recorded. Do you then find yourself almost having to learn your own tune?
Yeah,
afterwards?
it was so hard to reproduce it live. You'll probably see that in a moment. but I found it quite hard to replicate. And I think the producer actually tried to make me replicate another take in the studio. And I was like, it's just never going to happen.
It's not happening.
It's never, ever going to happen.
Well, let's chat a bit about Son House. You were saying that at the time, when you first heard him, you listened to Mogwai.
Yeah.
And more kind of like full wall of sound, kind of indie. I don't want to say dirge because it sounds negative, but, you know, full on.
Sonic boom.
Sonic boom is a good way of putting it.
Vibrating your chest.
It's funny because, let's be frank, Son House does the same.
He does.
He manages to do it with one person.
Yeah, you're right, he does.
So I was watching some footage of him this morning, knowing that we were going to be talking about him. The first tune I ever heard of his was John the Revelator, the a cappella performance with him clapping.
Yeah.
And the clapping's kind of like weirdly
Slightly
out of
out,
time.
but it's so mesmerising all the time. Yeah.
Very jarring.
Yeah.
But that footage, I think, is from the early 60s of him performing. And it's coming out of his whole body. His whole body is moving. It's not like the vocal just coming out of his voice. It's like
a possession.
emanating.
It's a possession, I think. It's a whole body experience. And
Yes.
you can feel it, and he's in the sonic boom.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's weird with him as well because he's, I don't say overlooked, because obviously he's on many compilations. It's very easy to get hold of his records, especially with Spotify, and you can get his stuff easy. But when you kind of hear conversations about the great bluesmen of the early part of the last century, you hear about Robert Johnson and Charlie Patton, all those people. Yeah. And Son House maybe isn't in that kind of first line of artists, but was vitally important to all of those guys. I mean, Robert Johnson was listening to his stuff.
Supposedly, he taught Robert Johnson how to play guitar. I mean, I wasn't there, but imagine if you were there. Oh, man.
So what about this tune in particular? You're doing Death Letter, which has been covered a few times, but what kind of impact did it have on you?
Just that depth, it just hit me. And as I say, I was so into post-rock and things like that, but an angular kind of guitar playing and just the simplicity, I think. And that's his signature tune, isn't it, really, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I reckon it's time for performance, if that's all right.
Okay, so this is Death Letter by Son House. Got a letter this morning, what do you reckon that it read? Said the girl I love it, she is dead. I got a letter this morning, do you reckon that it read? It said hurry, hurry, girl you love is dead. Someone who does not love you, it's a lack of satisfaction, and I don't care what you do. It's so hard to love someone who does not love you. Don't look like satisfaction, and I don't care what you do. the burial ground. I did not know that I loved her until they began to let her down. But it looked like 10,000 standing on the burial ground. I did not know that I loved her till they began to let her down. Who's that rider? I said, who's that rider? John the Revelator. Tell me who's that rider? John the Revelator. Tell me who's that rider? John the Revelator wrote that book on the 7 seas. Tell me who's that rider? John the Revelator, tell me who's that rider? John the Revelator, tell me who's that rider? John the Revelator wrote that book on the 7 seas. Would you mind people grinning in your face? Don't you mind people grinning in your face? Your mother talk about you, with your sister and your brother too. Don't you mind people grinning in your face? Don't you mind people grinning in your face? This morning, what do you reckon that he read? Said the girl I love him, she's dead. I got a letter this morning. Do you reckon that it read?
Subscribe to The Blues Kitchen for live performances and interviews with the hottest blues, soul, country and roots musicians in the world today.